essentially, what I like to do before every talk I've ever given, every lecture I've given in the last 18 years, is I give away the punchline in the first sentence. So are you ready? Be critical. The reason I do that is normally people don't have an attention span beyond 5 minutes. Mine can barely stretch to 7. Okay? My name's Stephen, and I'm what is known as a recovering academic. So for 17 years I worked in academia as a lecturer, mostly lecturing, doing very, very little research, teaching students how to archive, analyze, collect social media data, which I've been doing for about 18 years now. When I first started collecting social media and analyzing it, the professors at the university, I will not mention it, I will not mention the name, physically laughed in my face and said, "You're insane. What are you doing?" 18 years later, I'm doing it for the government as a civil servant. Maybe it's time for something new, yes? Essentially, HMRC wants to be a listening organization for the following reasons. Now, by listening, what I mean by listening is a method of communication. In order to listen, you have to at least respond to the person doing the speaking. As I'm walking around now looking at you and trying to make eye contact, some of you are making eye contact, some of you are looking away, some of you are shuffling nervously in your seats, yes? But yeah, I'm getting a response. So for me, to be a truly listening organization, for HMRC or any government body, they have to respond. They have to act in some way, yes? Simply, the reason for that is I believe personally and individually, as the person doing the listening, if I'm not responding to you, what you're saying, what your suggestions are, whether it be a problem on a service or a problem with a HMRC tax policy that you don't like, if I'm not responding, and as an organization, if we're not responding, all we're doing is engaging in mass surveillance. Yes? So for me, to sleep at night, how do I sleep at night? I try to act on what I'm doing, yes, and what I'm hearing. But essentially, this is a very big policy drive across a lot of government departments in the UK. Okay? Essentially, this is how I see it when I'm explaining it after a few glasses of wine, maybe later. Basically, the UK government, yes, UK politicians, nobody really trusts them anymore. Does anybody trust them? Does anybody believe they're really listening to you, taking our interests up to heart? No. What I think they're trying to do is the civil service is trying to say, okay, there's a gap here, and we need to reassure the public that we are listening to them, that we're engaged with them, trying to fill that gap that's been left by the politicians. Now, they do realize that part of the solution is technology. Part of the solution is technology, and where I come into it is I believe that a big part of it is culturally within HMRC, within government departments. I mean, what do I mean within HMRC? This is how people see HMRC. Are you ready? Just to explain. If we're in a bar or a restaurant with me and someone asks me, where do I work? I say, I'm a civil servant. Yes? I do not say where I work. You know, so for me standing here in front of you saying I'm HMRC is a big day for me. So culturally, even internally within HMRC, they don't like to say that they work for HMRC. So there's a real sort of ingrained sense of, ooh, yes? So there's a cultural problem as well as picking up the tools and the right technology and applying and processes. And I'll show you, if you like, what I do on a day-to-day basis. I'll show you the software that we use, and I'm going to be critical with it. Now, as I said, the whole point of takeaway here is to be critical. My first day at work, I've only been there now 9 months, I made 2 errors, okay? I'm not a trained civil servant. I'm not brought up with a hierarchy. I don't understand their hierarchy. I don't understand their acronyms. I work for an internal department called the IDEA Academy. I don't know what IDEA stands for. It's supposed to stand for innovation and something or other. On day 1, I made 2 big errors. The first error was, I asked my line manager, Richard, very nice guy, I don't think I should be able to do this, and I can't tell you what I did. And he went, what was that? I said, well, massive security issue, right? Which I found on day 1. My second issue was, I said something very silly, I'm an academic. I don't know how to shut up. Yes, that's why I said, if you want me to stop talking today, you're going to have to hold up the big picture. They asked me, what do I see as the biggest problem with HMRC? You've had a day, you've looked at the stats, the facts, the figures. I said, it looks great. I said, 83% customer satisfaction rate. I said, that can't be right. Hands up in here, who loves HMRC? 83% customer satisfaction. I went, that has to be a load of nonsense. The academic in me was just thinking freely, yes? The rest of the room went dead silent. I then, of course, being a good academic, went to the facts and figures. So as well as looking at social media, I'm also responsible for customer satisfaction surveys, the structured and the unstructured data that comes in. It's my job to analyze both of those. And trust me, yes, 83%, this is last year's figure, of our customers are satisfied because they've managed to get through the entire journey and out the other side. They're managing to get away from HMRC. Then they're very happy at that point. Now, I'll come back to that number later, okay? So as I said, they do acknowledge there's a tech solution to it. They do acknowledge there's a cultural issue. Part of my day-to-day job is spending my time listening to social media. So at the moment, we mainly focus on the United Kingdom. And I'll show you some of the reports that I generate and that I create. So I usually give this lecture, if you like, as I say, it's not a peek behind the curtain. I'm going to set fire to the curtains. I'm going to show you what my daily job is like, okay? So what is somebody who's listening to, on a yearly basis, it's about 3 million people I'm listening to, or surveilling. We'll come to that in a minute, that argument. How do I do it? And I'll show you the tools that we've bought, if you like, that we've outsourced and brought in, that we pay for, that we use. Then I get critical with it, and then I show you my backup support tools, if you like. I do it using open source software. Now, the thing within HMRC is that we are trying to remain current and engaged. I work with a team of about 50 other, they call themselves data scientists. I have no idea what I am. My first degree is in philosophy, my second one's in philosophy and social theory, then social research methods, and then communication studies. I don't know what I am anymore. You want to call me a data scientist? I don't care. We have a data scientist, I'm a social scientist, we have economists, we have statisticians, we have an environmental scientist. For her PhD, she studied grass. We have a jewelry designer working with us on graphics, so we're all extremely mixed up and varied. It's not the HMRC that I expected. So there's a core of us with PhDs, and we've all somehow wandered into this thing called data science or data social science. And we have a team of 50 built around us, and we're one team. At any one time, I'm working on something like 30 different research projects at the one time. On a day-to-day basis, I can walk into the office in the morning and be told, such and such a politician is giving a speech in Venice. We need the social media tools up and listening by 11 a.m. So it's research, but it's an accelerated idea of research. And what we do as academics is they're very worried and concerned about, get me a tool that works, whereas the academics are, we're looking for the scientific rigor. Is it valid? Is it reliable? You know, those old school philosophy of science 101. We're trying to ensure that that still exists within the data. Now, you'll realize I don't really refer to my slides very often. They are very goal-orientated, and for me, they are very real-time orientated, which is fine, and I can show them in real time all the analysis. But we as academics, we look at long-term, we look at that kind of historical development, the evolution of that relationship. So what happens is, because they're so goal-orientated, they walk in, they said to us, I would like you to start forecasting customer satisfaction survey responses to all of our services by the end of June. Off you go. Where do you get the data? Yeah, it's all up to me. It's all to us and the team internally. So for that particular project, what we do is we say, we'll take one service, we'll build it for you. Is this good enough? Yes? Yes, it works. That's all they want. Make it work. Then what that does is it then gives us time to go and actually tinker with it, play with different models, Yeah? Play with different types of software, different tools, different makeups, different combinations of it. So essentially our job is to get them to leave us alone so we can get on with the actual research. That's how we see our job. We're seen as quite being very disruptive within HMRC. For 2 years, another department was trying to get a particular piece of software onto the secured network. 2 years, they couldn't do it. Took our team, and especially our line manager, 2 weeks. We just do it. Like me on day one. What happens if I push this button? So we have a very different mindset. And for me, that's the big difference. It's a cultural shift that's needed. It's a cultural shift. If they want to be seen as a listening organization, then they're actually going to have to start listening, not pretending to. For me, what shapes a lot of the culture currently is the context in which we're operating in. For me, the biggest one here is not just the second revolution or fake news. The biggest one is the notions of surveillance and the end of privacy. And people now are very aware of the privacy. And regulation like GDPR has come in, which is trying to reassert that sense of privacy. For me at the moment, privacy is dead. It's done. But the wider public are slowly waking up to it with GDPR coming out, and there's new e-privacy laws coming out as well. This is starting to be a pushback. So for me to be able to sleep at night and not be labeled merely surveilling the UK population, we have to really listen, which means responding, yes? Because, and this is my critical theory background days, I'm a kind of critical by default. A lot of what I'm looking at, we label it as data, but what I'm especially gathering is customer satisfaction, feedback, surveys, their social network activity, social media activity, Facebook, you name them, yes? We're collecting all of it. All of it. And what I'm collecting really are people's thoughts and feelings and their sense of how it is to interact with HMRC, how it is to be a UK citizen looking forward to Brexit. Everyone looking forward to Brexit. Gathering all of that up and asking what are the major discourses around these particular topics and themes and how can they feed back into the policymakers. Because for me, what I'm hoovering up, it's people, not data. I try and keep away from labeling what I'm looking at as data. I label it as people's thoughts and feelings. So if you like, the first speaker this morning, I think it was Kenneth from the quantitative social media, I sort of begin, my day begins where Kenneth's ends. Yes, we collect quantitative data. I'll show you it. I'll show you the tools we're using. That's when my day begins. I am sort of doing an online ethnography of people discussing and debating HMRC. It has become my life. A qualitative aspect to it is I am now online 24/7, contactable, constantly being alerted, especially today. I don't know why. Lots of talk about universal credit. And I'm linking into it. I'm listening to the conversation. So what I'm doing is almost applying the old classic anthropological approach of ethnography to an online context for a government department. And the idea is we can get closer to McNamara's ideal the more we do that, the more we engage with our customers. At the minute, there's a big problem for me. We've been debating it for a while. If you're online and you're not in a kind of locked away, signed away, multiple passwords, two-step verification, if you're not in that and you're talking about HMRC, I know. Now, at the moment, if a customer goes to our HMRC at customers, our actual official Twitter account and sends us a direct tweet, yes, we can respond. So imagine you're on Reddit or something, yes, and you're talking about HMRC, and up pops a little icon saying, "Hi, this is Stephen. He's from HMRC." How would you react? Okay, after you've burnt your computer, yes, you'd be on to the press. What we're mulling over is, can I approach you? Should I sidle up to you and go, "Hi, I'm from HMRC"? So we're worried, if you like. There are certain things that I still regard as private. The worry we're really looking at is trying to stay away from creating calculated publics, To me, I might trivialize it by being a little bit sort of silly and jokey, bit of a clown. But to me, this is fundamentally a sort of political question. If we start using the AI machine learning, I don't care what you're calling it this week. You used to call it big data. I just call it analysis. Whatever you want to call it. If you're using it, you've got to have at the heart of it the user, the people, and see them as people with choices, and the decisions and designs that you're making are shaping not just our current contemporary future, but other people who have yet to be born's futures. I'm concerned about things like bias being built into, training data sets. I'm worried about ethics. These are the things that keep me awake at night. Because what I'm worried about is these calculated data publics that we're generating are what is going to be used to define, manage, and govern us. This is how we are perceived. This will determine our life chances, whether or not you get that mortgage, whether or not you get the car insurance, whether or not you get the health insurance. So to me, it's a fundamentally political question. The data sets are not objective, they're not unbiased, and they're not neutral. There are a lot of social media analytics companies, mostly circulating around London, and a lot of them are a result or have some tangent link to a lot of my ex-students. And what they do is they charge a lot of money to do something very simple. It's just capitalism, isn't it? That's just how the world works. A lot of these dashboards are, to me, in danger of making the qualitative quantitative. And by doing so, throwing out and ignoring the meaning, ignoring understanding, ignoring the why, ignoring the people's real decisions and real lives. It's the quicker we turn them into data, the easier it is to dismiss. So I'm collecting on a daily basis, or a yearly basis, 3 million people's thoughts and feelings, ideologies, discourses, narratives, and stories. So, as I said, I'm going to set fire to the curtains. No, I'm just going to pull them apart. I want to show you what my day-to-day looks like, okay? So this is one of the reports internally that I generated to, if you like, our wider organizational listening group. And what you'll see is it's very quantitative. So this is the figures for 2017. There were a total of 3 million mentions of HMRC or related topic subjects. You have no idea. The amount of what perceived to some as noise, to someone else as a signal. I'm monitoring everything from, of course, HMRC, yes, to Brexit, but I'm also looking at, might take you a little while to work out, particular brands of vodka or brands of cigarettes. I'm working with 30 different teams across the entire HMRC. I'm working with the cybersecurity, looking for scamming and phishing attempts, yes? So my spectrum of HMRC is broad. It's very big, and I still don't think I've got anywhere near a handle on it. So 3,438,000 particular unique users. The software we use at the moment is BrandWatch, because it was the one when I joined the company, not the company HMRC, this was the one they were already using as standard. But I have a few problems with it. Last year, 2017, on a daily basis, I'm monitoring particular peaks, if you like, in the conversation. Anyone, if I was to say April 2017, can anybody name the football team? I'll give you a clue, they're Scottish. Yes. Here we have the Customs Union, the PM's, that's the Prime Minister's speech in Florence. I was monitoring that within 1 hour of getting a phone call. And then, of course, we've got the Paradise Papers, and the autumn budget is a massive peak. Paradise Papers is something else I'm also looking at, just out of general curiosity. What we also monitor is people talking about a particular services. So these are these time scales, yes? I walk in the morning, and the first thing I bring up is this. And if the number on the left is more than 30, I hit the panic button. I don't even care what it is, I just look for 30. It has to be 30. If anything more than 30, I'm going to have a really bad day. So these are each service, they're blurred out, but looking for peaks and troughs. Of course, we get a massive peak in January because of self-assessment returns coming in. At the moment, we're in the middle of another sort of peak, June, July. Anyone guess what's going on? So you can kind of see time series. We also do kind of predictions and forecasting, not just in terms of volume, but we also look in terms of customer satisfaction. We also use these a lot of the time they're trying to generate, they call it an awful term, a horizon scanning thing. I don't know what that even means. As using sort of similar types of data sets. We can also drill right down into the particular mentions, who's saying what. Now, what I'm looking at is not just Twitter, it's not just Facebook, it's everything. If it's in a publicly accessible forum and you type in the words HMRC, I know. And what I do is it a service lead problem? Is it a policy? Who would be interested in this, yes, of the 30 teams? Who is probably watching this? Are they aware of it? Do I need to pick up the phone and phone the press office? So right down into not just the sort of macro level, but the micro level. I spend my days, not a word of a lie, I spend my days staring at 4 computer screens, reading what people are writing about HMRC. Not just on Twitter, but also in the customer feedback, which is another job that I also do, analyzing that. So I've completely immersed myself in HMRC's online culture. We're also doing things like looking at logos, who is illegally using HMRC's logo. A lot of scamming and phishing sites will use them and pretend to be officials affiliated with HMRC. This is the cybersecurity team. They stand all day staring at these screens as well, these images, just waiting for someone to say scamming or phishing HMRC. They assign a ticket to it and someone sorts it out, tracks it down. This is a 24/7 issue. We also look at Facebook pages and their levels of engagement over time. A little bit less so on Facebook. Even I'm scared to go near Facebook after Cambridge Analytica. I don't touch it. Here's our interaction with Facebook over time. What I've noticed is that our interaction that we get with customers online on Facebook, it really only peaks because we give Facebook lots of money every now and then. Then it peaks, but other than that, it's kind of flatlining. What I'm saying is Twitter is increasing year on year. Increasing. Facebook is... I'm not sad, I'm not sorry. We also look at LinkedIn, so if you talk to me or ask or interact with me on LinkedIn, we're also following all of that. Basically anything, globally. Now, this is, I kind of love-hate with this one. I stare at this for about 6 hours every day. What it says on this is trending topics on this side, diving, sort of dropping off topics, and everything that appears on this side, if I don't know what it means, I click on it and follow up the story. Because what normally happens is I can sometimes get a phone call and say, such and such is trending. What's that mean, Stephen? And I have to be able to give them very quickly a background story as to what it is and what it's about. Whether or not, should we hit the big red panic button yet? Which they did 2 years ago. I might tell some of you later, if you like, what the big red button is. Now, at the back of my mind, the critical component for me is that these modeling algorithms, they know nothing about letters really, or sentences, nothing about narrative form, nothing about meaning, nothing about politics. To me, I'm still waiting. For me, the quantitative side sits in a kind of syntactic logic world. If it's ones and zeros, it's perfect, yes? If it can be reduced to ones and zeros. But in terms of semantic, there's a gap. At the moment, they're layering, layer upon layer of ontology on top of these, kind of trying to get at some sort of semantic meaning. But to me, they're never really going to bridge that gap, I believe, okay? Maybe I'll be proven wrong. At the minute, HMRC is trying to make tax digital. What that really means is, academic at it again, what that really means, do you know if you go into Tesco's or Sainsbury's or maybe Waitrose, I don't know where you shop, and they've got those little self-service, yes? HMRC is trying to do the same with tax, that you self-serve your own taxation, yes? You do it all yourself, and everything else is automated. That's what they mean by making tax digital. But for me, there's a major problem. And the biggest problem is, since GDPR has come in, that there's a little, if you read in detail GDPR, you'll see a little clause in there saying something about that no decision about a person be made by a completely automated process. Now, at the moment, we're not too sure what that really means. We'll leave it to the lawyers. I've met with lots of lawyers, and they are the only people who are laughing about GDPR. They love GDPR. They love it. They're like, oh, let's get more lawyers in the room and we can all have a good laugh. That little clause alone, for me, is a big problem for making tax digital. Of course, idiot boy here says it out loud in big meetings, and they all look at me and go, shut up, Stephen. Don't say it out loud. The bosses are here, yes? So now they've realized they're going, hold on a minute, step back. Maybe he has a point. Has anyone else read that GDPR thingy? What does it mean? Let's have a look. Let's get the lawyers involved. And the lawyers go, yay. What I'm worried about as well is datafication. Now, you read that. I don't want to read that. What I mean by datafication is very simple. You want to know 3 months of, look, HMRC taxman looking for sympathy, no chance. For 3 months, we haggled over the following. Are you ready? Do we round, I'll give you a random number, I won't give you the actual number. Do we round 83.27 to 2 decimal places or not? And who's responsible for it if we do? For 3 months. 3 months. That's what I mean by datafication. They were just like this, like blinkered horses. Is it 83.27? Is it? Can we bring up the whole list? How far does it go? Oh, right. Okay. Who's responsible for it? No, I don't know who is. This went on for 3 months, and I'm sitting going, the number's not valid. It's not reliable. It's just a number for us to measure. It's not an actual real number. You couldn't really meaningfully forecast it, which they now have me doing. But finally, they settled, no, we'll leave it to 2 decimal places after 3 months. Meanwhile, the customers are saying, we can't sign in. The gateway doesn't work. Now, recently I have seen something going higher up which contained this argument. Yes, it went straight up. I thought, wow, only here 9 months, that's not bad. Maybe somebody's going to listen to me. They said, maybe we should stop fixating on the number so much and start actually listening to the customer's feedback. All right. My worry, this is what does keep me awake at night, that strategists and planners and the people who are making the policy decisions are going to take this quantitative, you know that list of figures, those time series that I showed you, take them as some sort of fact. In reality, you can label this at any kind of particular methodology. It's a story. It's a made-up fiction. You know, it's not real. We could sort of change the definition a little bit. You know, at the moment, all our customers are satisfied. Did you know that? Everyone's very happy, 80%. I know what we'll do. Let's raise it to 85. Yeah, why not? Who cares? All they do is play with numbers. But for me, because I'm engaged daily with, I could name some Twitter accounts, but I won't. And I listen to them day after day. I'm thinking, that policy that you made, that you think so flippantly about maybe, is actually having a real hard impact on certain people's lives. Maybe we need to start actually listening and try and respond to them. At least let them know that we're listening. For me, all those dashboards, they have a place. But as a social media analyst, as my background, I kind of maybe think I might be someday, the question is always, what is to be done? For me, it's to get critical of social media research platforms and dashboards. For me, it's about placing social, ethical, and political concerns at the core of our strategies. I'm going to speed up a little bit. We're constantly checking what is working, what is not working. And we're reviewing the relations between our product, brand, and service, and consumer, influencer, and public, as in being constantly in flux. What they're doing when they're fixating on a number is they're going, yeah, we got 83, we're done. See you next year. Yes, they walk off. They kind of relax a little bit, and their game drops. The idea is those figures present an image of a static thing, whereas what I'm dealing with, from a kind of ethnographic perspective, is an ecologically evolving organism, if you like, of chatter and talk, and to see it as such, see it as a living thing that's constantly mutating. I will just get through. What we're doing and what I do internally, yes, I run BrandWatch, is what I'm doing kind of on a day-to-day basis, but on my own, I run my own servers where I collect separate data sets. I'm testing BrandWatch, and I'm also running backup systems. What we're doing as a team, kind of Ideas Academy, is we're really kind of ramping up the sort of cutting-edge scientific rigor element of what we can grasp from university partners and exchanges and institutions, and trying to apply them. What we're trying to do is get a goal-oriented strategy in place. We're trying to not be Cambridge Analytica. We're trying to operate with ethics and political concerns at the heart. What next, I say, in our long-term strategy is, at the moment, I'm trying to listen to the customer, but there are two entities in between me and the customer. At the moment, I go to BrandWatch, and they filter, and they have their little black box, algorithms running, and they won't let me see, they won't tell me, or they don't know what particular algorithm they're using to cluster the particular comments. And I've met them face to face and asked them, and they pretended they couldn't tell me. Apparently some black box. When I said to them, I think you're running, Fructum and Rheingold, they kind of looked at me funny. I said, that's what you're using, I think, is it? And he went, I don't know. I need to remove BrandWatch. Yes? The next stop, the next person I meet then, is Twitter, yes? I need to remove Twitter. I'm trying to get directly at the customer, directly. So this is sort of my personal and our team's long-term goal. It's by getting to the data directly. At the moment, HMRC have apps which people can put on their smartphone, but they're not very well designed in terms of communications, flowing backs and forwards. And for me, the big change is that shift toward a more qualitative type of analysis. I'm going to finish up really quickly. These are the ones I like. What I'm looking for, trying to find small patterns in big data sets, analyzing unstructured customer service feedback, doing things with, this is 3 months or so worth of data, 1.5 million customer feedback, and trying to get at beyond a very simple, most customers are happy, or what we normally get. I can tell you now what the next analysis results will be. Customers will say, it's very easy, it's simple to use, and it's great. Once you get past that bloody sign-in thing, that's all we hear, yes? When we take that to the service leads, they're saying to us, tell us something we don't know. I think that's a really important phrase. They want to know something they don't already know. So these algorithms that are saying the majority are stating this, yes, or this group are arguing the following, they want to hear the two people who are getting an error 505 or whatever it is, yes? That's all they want to know. Very specific, very targeted. Where are we? But if I'm going to finish, I'll go to my finishing slide. What I'm trying to really get is why are certain HMRC customers on Twitter tweeting 10, 15, 20, some people are tweeting 50 times a day to HMRC. Why? I go and I check, I have my own algorithms I run, is this a bot? I go and physically go and check, this might be a bot. It's not a bot, it's a real human being, for some reason, 50 times a day. Why? They haven't directly appealed to me. Should I say, hi, I'm from HMRC?